G'day guys, Rukshan here. Thanks for joining me for the news vlog. I hope you're all having a lovely day. I've got a few news stories that I want to get through today. First up, it's related to some health related stories. Now, I can't discuss the full details on these platforms like Facebook and YouTube, so you will have to go to X to see some of the videos that I'm talking about, but it relates to a COVID inquiry that's happening right now in the Senate here in Australia. But before I get to that story, this is a really bizarre story that I saw in the news today, and it relates to Australian health authorities and potentially, allegedly, a hospital medical service here in Victoria faking patients prior to a minister visiting. So family members or doctors or whatever of this hospital were, apparently, allegedly, I'm being very careful here with my language, were in the hospital beds during the visit, like pretending to be patients. Right, and this is before IBAC, right? So we have Victorian hospitals allegedly pretending to have fake patients before a minister visits, the health minister. It's truly bizarre, but let me read this. Claim fake patients used in health ministry, Marianne Thomas hospital visit. A major investigation has been launched over a fake patient scandal in which a regional hospital is accused of staging a full emergency department for a ministerial visit. The Herald Sun has confirmed the matter was referred to both IBAC and the Victorian Ombudsman after Health Minister Marianne Thomas visited an urgent care clinic run by Colac Area Health in August last year. The Department of Health is investigating allegations that at least 10 patients claimed to be Colac Area Health staff and family members were admitted into a hospital bed where they pretended to be sick ahead of Miss Thomas's visit. The Department of Health is aware of the complaint made and continues to investigate the allegations raised, a department spokesman said. We're working closely with Colac Area Health on the matter, and it would be inappropriate to comment further at this time. The Allen government has threatened serious consequences if the allegations are confirmed. What's going on here in Victoria and at this hospital? How many other times have hospitals in Victoria faked patients or fake data or fake deaths, right? These are questions we've had in the past related to other issues that I'm going to get to later down the track. But what on earth is going on here with this story? Why are hospital staff faking being in the emergency department? Are they trying to get extra funding? Are they trying to show the health minister that they're really busy? Is this hospital not busy? Like, what the hell is going on? So, bizarre story. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this because this might be a wider spread issue than we think, right? There might be more hospitals like this around Victoria who are pretending in relation to their, their capacity or the number of patients they have, the number of deaths which are occurring, perhaps even fudging numbers related to a certain pandemic we had. Who knows? All types of questions need to be asked now, and I think we need further investigations into a lot of things just based on this. And speaking of investigations, right now there is an inquiry going on. So if you want to watch this inquiry, this is in the federal level at the Senate, and this is around the COVID-19 Royal Commission that many people are asking for. So there is an inquiry going on to draft terms of reference for any future Royal Commission. And Senator Malcolm Roberts, who is leading this charge and putting this commission together, he live streamed the entire thing on his Facebook, so you can go watch that live stream on his Facebook. You can also find it on the the Australian Parliamentary website. That's one of the great things about this website. They live stream everything, and they actually have a back record of it, so you can go watch it as well. And it's called the Senate Legal and Constitutional Affairs Reference Committee COVID-19 Royal Commission. But I recommend just going to Senator Malcolm Roberts' page, and you can see the whole 7 hours there. So this is the first set of hearings that we're having around this issue, the reference terms, and you had doctors from all backgrounds and medical professionals and health professionals discussing this, and there were some explosive comments made by various doctors demanding a COVID-19 inquiry. And I've shared one here, which I can't actually share the audio, unfortunately, on these platforms, but you can go to my X and you can check it out. But I've written in relation to this post, brave Australian doctors and health professionals are currently demanding a comprehensive Royal Commission into the government's pandemic response at a public inquiry in the Senate. And I'm just going to quote some of the things that this doctor was saying. There's much more than this, but here we go. There has been a catastrophic failure of medical ethics, human rights, and free speech in this country. I know of no health emergency so great as to necessitate the locking up of healthy people for weeks on end. Around Australia, healthcare practitioners were suspended and silenced, and many remain so, for speaking out against the vaccines and the pandemic response. Those remaining were too afraid to voice their concerns, preventing one of the most important safety aspects in healthcare, open discourse and the questioning of the science. Now, this doctor gave a great speech. Well, it goes for about 2 minutes. I highly recommend listening to her full speech and the reasons she outlines for why Australia needs a royal commission. There is a school of thought, of course, that royal commissions, these kind of things go nowhere, and it's a waste of money, and these people are going to get away with it. I tend to agree with some aspects of that, but what I saw during this, even just this initial phase in hearing, the Green senators and Labor senators really trying to pour cold water on this whole thing to stop it even from going ahead, really, right? They were trying to dampen the whole thing and saying, oh, do we really need this inquiry? There was a Green senator asking some of these doctors who are questioning these things, like, are you guys into conspiracies? Are you guys conspiracy theorists? And that line of questioning, right? There was even a senator when asked, I believe she's a Labor senator, her name is Anita Green from Queensland, and they were talking about how much information that doctors received from medical bodies to give to patients around the risks and benefits or whatever of taking the vaccine. And they were talking about this issue, and this senator Nina just jumps in and says, well, I went to my doctor, I was happy with the advice that I got, and I took the vaccine. But that wasn't even the thing that was being asked. Like, it doesn't matter what she did, right? The question here is whether health professionals and doctors received the appropriate information from the medical bodies and institutions like the TGA or APRA or whatever, who's responsible for them, to give out to patients. And these senators are butting in saying, well, I got vaccinated, I was happy with the information that I got, whatever. So I highly recommend watching this. This is going to be going on obviously a bit longer than this, so I'll keep you guys updated on this. If you want to see ongoing updates, I recommend you follow me on X, where I'm posting a lot of these clips. Of course, it goes for 7 hours, and not everyone can sit for 7 hours and watch these things, but I usually watch it in the background, listening to see what is happening when it comes to these stories. Now, the next story that I wanted to discuss with you guys is an update on the farmers' protests that we're seeing in Europe, mainly France, Belgium, in the city of Brussels, as well as the EU Parliament. There's some action happening there as well. But some of these videos coming out at the moment, you have French police, this paramilitary police force they have in France, really setting up blockades everywhere to stop these convoys from getting together. So this news is about 24 hours old now, but this is what was happening. So the police were blocking bridges out of small towns where the farmers had gathered, trying to leave those towns. And there's a bit of a standoff going on in different parts of the country as farmers are trying to gather, especially going towards Paris. So that's happening. And then in Brussels, where the EU Parliament is based, they have all gathered overnight there. You can see they've set up some blockades here. Familiar scenes for Europe. Looks like when you see that, right? You remember the beaches of Normandy during D-Day, but they've set up some blockades around the Brussels EU Parliament there, where the farmers have gathered. So right now, if you want to see, as of me posting this, if you go to Twitter, there's a few people doing live streams. You can also watch the Reuters. They got a live stream there as well. There's not many people watching it, but I think they're going to be playing it the whole night into the morning. And you can see there the farmers have gathered. They've set up bonfires. They have blocked the entrance to the EU Parliament. So how this ends and what's going to happen there, anyone's guess. But obviously there has been tendencies for the police to arrest people and try to cut some of this stuff out. So that could potentially happen. So a live stream is available there on Reuters, at least via Twitter. The last story that I have for you guys today is around this tech hearing that was happening in the US Congress around social media and the harms that it's having on the younger generations. Interestingly, a few tech CEOs, including most notably Mark Zuckerberg, was called in to this hearing. And I'm just going to read a little bit of this article from BBC. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has apologized to families who say their children had been harmed by social media during a fiery hearing in the US Senate. Mr. Zuckerberg, who runs Instagram and Facebook, turned on them and said no one should go through what they had. Now, these are families who had been impacted by their children being exploited because of these social media platforms. And Mark Zuckerberg was put on the spot there. He had to apologize to these families during this fiery exchange. So I'm going to play a little bit of that clip there if you haven't seen it.
You didn't take any action. You didn't take any action. You didn't fire anybody. You haven't compensated a single victim. Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now? Well, they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
Through the things that your families have suffered, and this is why we invested so much and are going to continue doing industry efforts to make.
So you can't really hear what he's saying there. It's muffled even in the original audio, but essentially he's gotten up, he's faced these families, and he's apologizing to them for the harms that they've suffered because of, whatever happened on the Facebook platforms or the Meta platforms. And he's saying that this is why they've invested so much in technology to protect their users. Now, there was also an exchange with US Senator Ted Cruz from Texas. And this is interesting because this is an issue that I covered like start of last year around this time. And this was the fact that Instagram had been found out by a study by Stanford University, I believe. And the Instagram Meta was like promoting exploitative material, especially around child sexual exploitative material on their platforms with these hashtags, and users were able to find these things if they knew about it, and these kind of pedophiles and weirdos were using Instagram's own tools to find this child abuse material. And Ted Cruz brought up a brilliant point about how Instagram and Facebook actually works when it comes to these things. So I'm going to play it. Hopefully Zuckerberg doesn't take my Facebook video down for showing what happened in the Senate today, but this is what happened around this issue.
Instagram also displayed the following warning screen to individuals who were searching for child abuse material. These results may contain images of child sexual abuse. And then you gave users two choices: get resources or see results anyway. Mr. Zuckerberg, what the hell were you thinking?
All right, Senator. The basic science behind that is that when people are searching for something that is problematic, it's often helpful to, rather than just blocking.
He actually has an explanation for this, right? See results anyway. Let's have a listen.
It to help direct them towards something that that could be helpful for getting them to get help.
In what I understand, get resources. In what sane universe is there a link for see results anyway?
Well, because we might be wrong. We try to trigger this warning, or we tried to, when we think that there's any chance that the results.
Okay, you might be wrong. Let me ask you, how many times was this warning screen displayed?
I don't know, but the
Hey, you don't know. Why don't you know?
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
But you know what, Mr. Zuckerberg? It's interesting you say you don't know it off the top of your head, because I asked it in June of 2023 in an oversight letter, and your company refused to answer. Will you commit right now to within 5 days answering this question for this committee?
We'll follow up on that.
Is that a yes? Not a will follow up.
Anyway, what do you think about the line of questioning? I understand that. I think Zuckerberg's trying to say, well, we're not sure exactly if these images contain this, but our AI systems or whatever that we use potentially believe that this image or video is exploitative in some manner or fact, but they'll put this warning on it, but they won't remove it. What do you guys make of that? I think Facebook and Instagram have a major issue when it comes to this, especially on Instagram. I mean, I still see weird stuff on Instagram, right? Twitter, on the other hand, which gets blamed by our e-safety commissioner here in Australia and in people in Europe and stuff, I believe they're taking all types of measures against this. But you're seeing here how obviously clear it is in terms of Instagram, and we have had no action whatsoever from our e-safety commissioner here in Australia. You got to ask yourself why, right? You got to ask yourself why these things are happening. Anyway, guys, that's my update for today. I will be changing up a little bit of this format in the coming weeks, and maybe jazzing things up a little bit and giving a bit more of an indication of what stories are coming up. And I also plan to actually do this live, so probably on a Tuesday night, once a week to begin with, to actually do this live so I can take some of your questions. We can discuss these articles together, whatever, like, something like this. Let me know what you think a good time is for a live, especially for those of you from Victoria, Australia, or anywhere in Australia, really. It'll probably be around this time. For me, I'm thinking around, 7:30, 8, If that's too early, let me know. If I can do it later on, doesn't really matter. Maybe 8:39. Let me know some suggestions if you are interested in watching one of these episodes live and having a bit of interaction back and forth as well. As always, guys, if you enjoy my videos, you can follow along on YouTube at The Real Rukshan. Hit that subscribe button if you want to. I keep gaining a few subscribers. I keep losing a few subscribers. I don't know. Who cares? You can hit the notification bell as well, and that'll give you, updates instantly when I post. You can also find me on X, where I post a lot of the stuff that I can't post here. On Facebook, Instagram, Rumble, and Odyssey at The Real Rukshan, or on my website www.realrukshan.com. See you guys tomorrow.